We're back with Dr. Drew and my mom, Alice, and a new audience member is up to ask a question. Hi, sir. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Bonnie. Hi, Dr. Drew. My question today is for Alice specifically.
Oh, my.
Yes.
Alice,
Mom, I think you're going on a date.
Alice, when you were first married, was your mother-in-law critical of you?
Alice?
No, I have to honestly say she wasn't critical of me, but I was critical of myself because I was always fearful that if I heard a tap on the door and my mother-in-law was coming in, everything had to be spick and span. And it was terrible, a terrible feeling that I always felt that I wasn't as great as she was at being neat.
Are you in a marriage, sir?
I just like tips from Alice.
Right.
There's nothing better.
No, you're right. She's like a treasure. She really is, right? She's like a treasure, Alice, right?
She is.
She's like
a national treasure.
No, really.
Oh, that's very sweet.
I mean, it's no accident that this is what you get from...
Good offspring.
Yeah.
Oh, Dr. Drew.
Alice.
Is it true that you had a patient that came into your office and said, I have a split personality, doctor? And you said to your nurse, bring in another chair.
Look at her laughing at her own joke. She kills herself. Look at her. She can't. Look at her. Go ahead. Yeah, I mean, welcome to the show. Go ahead.
Thanks. I have a question about the long-term effects of ecstasy to drugs.
Oh, that's a great question.
The risk, to me, it's one of the scariest drugs that people do, not just because of its powerful positive influence, but it's clear to me that it's a neurotoxin. Now, people debate it, and the data is sort of, you've sort of, I guess,
we have to
you're aware
explain
of
a
the
neurotoxin.
It actually excites neurons to the point that they die. And the cells
permanent
die,
damage,
and it's permanent damage. I know the literature's out there that says maybe it regenerates and whatnot. I can tell you there's an absolutely characteristic syndrome that develops from ecstasy users. They are usually people that are very social, who all of a sudden start isolating. They start getting depressed. Then they get panic attacks, and then they get agoraphobia, and I get to see them in the psychiatric hospital. And it's usually a recalcitrant depression. It sometimes gets better. Sometimes it doesn't come on until 5 years later, but it is treachery. So it's a drug that really frightens me that people are using.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Welcome. I'm glad you talked about that.
Yeah, I mean, but I think a lot of young people have seen the consequences in some of their peers, so they're off it a little bit now. It was more popular 5 years ago or so, but it's one of the ones that and LSD scare the hell out of me because these are neurotoxins, and amphetamine, if you use it enough, it's the same thing, methamphetamine.
Hi, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you. I'd like to ask this of Dr. Drew or Alice. When you don't see your grandchildren but only a few times a year, how can you establish a meaningful and memorable relationship with them?
Alice, I don't know how you feel about this, but for me, we don't really emphasize how much time relationships require, how much presence children really need to be healthy. As much as you can possibly provide for them. Put it out there. Do as much as you can. If you're only there on holidays, you're going to be just that sort of peripheral person in their life. You're not going to be an important part of who they are and how they think of themselves and their family. Alice, do you agree with me on this?
Absolutely. May I make one point? I was helping my daughter, Mary, who happens to be a first grade school teacher, and I went to school with her one day just to be there to help read to the children or whatever she needed for me to do. And there was this little boy, and he had his head down on the desk, and he was kind of crying. And I asked him, what was wrong? And he said, oh, my grandma was here to visit us over the holidays, and she was with us for about 2 weeks, and now she's gone home, and I miss her something terribly. And I really got so choked up, and I told him, I said, honey, I said, why don't you just write a note to your grandma and just keep in touch with her that way. Write her a little letter and just let her know how much you enjoyed having her and being with her. And do that, and I'm sure that she'll probably send a reply back, and you'll have someone that you'll be writing back and forth to if you don't get to see her that much. However, another thing, how about these webcams that they have now?
Right. Right, you can do, that's a great idea.
do
This
that.
is your mom comes up with this one. She's, I mean, look at her, I guess she's talking to us from webcam, let's be fair.
No, but I do think writing back and forth, I mean, any connection.
But here's the part that everyone misses.
What?
That kid that you're talking about, Alice, that's a kid who has a relationship with his grandmother. Relationships, they require risk, they hurt, they aren't always perfect, they're messy. And that's a young man that has his grandmother deeply held in his heart, and it's working. That's what you want to develop. You want it to be a little bit uncomfortable that you're not there all the time, not that you're just out there and whatever.
But that's the response you get when you leave, right? Aren't they sad when you leave?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
we're
so
all
you-
sad.
You want that. It's painful, but relationships, they require risk to really invest in, and that's.
Mom,
Yes?
thank you so much for joining us, okay, Mama? Thank you for your wisdom.
Can I just leave another little joke for Dr. Drew?
Please, Alice. I'd be deeply honored.
I want to thank everybody in the audience for participating as well. Go ahead, Mama, go ahead. She wants to give you a joke.
Psychiatrist's secretary walks into his study and says, Dr. Black is in the waiting room asking to see you again. And this time he claims he's invisible. And guess what Dr. Drew said?
What?
Tell him I can't see him.
Look at how hard she's laughing. She's killing herself. Oh, who needs drugs? Dr. Drew,
Yes, ma'am.
thank you so much.
It is so much
for
my
your
pleasure.
kindness
Thank you. Please,
and
appreciate
your
it.
intelligence and your knowledge. I appreciate you so much. Thanks, Mama. Celebrity
Thanks,
Rehab with Dr. Drew airs Thursdays on VH1 at 10 p.m. We'll be right back. Hey.